Thank you for joining us today. And we are talking about something that affects most people. And sometimes we know it, sometimes it just happens subconsciously. And this is about stalkers. Well, I want us to start off by defining who is a stalker.
Thanks, Sarah, for having me, and what a way to begin 2021. So sometimes we have friends who we develop close associations with. Could be a lover, could be a friend, could be family, and at the end of the day, they end up being stalkers. So how do we define a stalker? This is someone who repeatedly follows, watches, or harasses a person. It could be implied or it could be directed physically to the person.
Well, I like your definition, and you put out a word very strongly: harasses. So someone might be following me, knowing my whereabouts, but if they don't harass me, that is not a stalker.
Yes, I would say a stalker is someone who also causes, we call it psychological terrorism. So the harassment could also be emotional, even if not physically implied to you. When you feel uncomfortable, when you feel threatened, when there is a pattern of behavior, then that is harassment.
Well, I like that. Now, many people have followed me on social media, Nancy, and
Yes.
sometimes you just come across them, or they text me messages on my DM and so on. So how will I know that this person is a stalker?
You will know if they never lack. Anytime you post something on your social media, they are there. They will post a comment too about what you're talking about, and then they will communicate to you directly because they are seeking to gain your attention, your approval, your acknowledgement. Okay. If it is, say, you are attending an event, this person will make sure that you're aware that they are around. Okay. So they are within what you do. Your social circles, they are within what you do, and they are aware of what you're wearing, who you're talking to, how you're engaging. They will correct you sometimes. So this is someone who we can say, in a nutshell, is a stalker.
Wow. And looking at this, and something has just come to mind. I read a post the other day of this person who says everywhere she goes, she finds a specific person. You know, uko kwa matatu, and this person is in the same matatu. The other day you're going for an event somewhere, and this person is in the same event. Yeah, you find yourself somewhere for lunch, and you see him around. Can I also say that this is a stalker? Ama it's just coincidentally that he's in the same place?
No, it can't be a coincidence. All right. Stalkers have different drives to different individuals. So a coincidence can't be in every other occasion or event you're doing and you have not invited this person. Because when you see this happening, it means that person is aware of what is going to happen, and so they're aligning themselves with your program so that they can be within your space.
Hey, this is a bit scary. This is a bit scary because now I understand sometimes we might be having people around our space not knowing that they're actually following on your activities, or, as you say, aligning themselves with our schedule. And I want to ask you, Nancy, what really attracts these people to following me on social media, in my life? What really attracts them to me?
Well, there are different types of stalkers, and we will get to that. But the reason why someone would probably decide to follow another would be if they have a false sense of belief that there is a sort of attraction or love that can evolve or emerge from that relationship. That is why someone would be a stalker. If they are going through some sort of hurt, so they feel that by associating themselves with you, you help them get over that hurt, or they want to inflict the same amount of pain through you. If they idolize you, probably they consider you to be of a high social status, then they may want to associate themselves with you. The thing we need to know about stalkers is that they are suffering from, one, low self-esteem, Two, they are looking to get acknowledgement and being seen and appreciated. So there are so many things that could be at play. They could be in love and they have not communicated that with you.
Yeah.
They could be narcissistic, or they could be trying to assert some sort of control in you as a victim. Yes.
You said something when maybe someone idolizes you, like sees you in a higher social ranking, for lack of a better word or description for that. That can also cause someone to stalk you.
Yes.
Then that
a
means
lot of celebrities.
then that means a lot of celebrities have a lot of stalkers, you know?
Actually, you read my mind.
Yeah.
A lot of celebrities or people who we see in our media spaces have a lot of stalkers, and that's why you find people working with bodyguards or even developing social awkwardness, because when they become friendly, they don't know what behavior they may be nurturing, and it could end up becoming they could end up becoming victims. So, for example, if they post, we have an event here and there, this person who idolizes them could be there every other time, seeking to be noticed, seeking to have a relationship, seeking to have some association, so that it gives them some sort of self-gratification.
Okay, let's go back to the types of stalkers. I know you mentioned a little bit about it earlier. Types of stalkers.
Yes.
Help us through that.
All right, so there are different types of stalkers, and it usually happens because, stalking is a behavior that emerges from a need that is not met or attention that somebody is trying to get. So you could have a rejected stalker, and this is someone who probably was an ex-lover, ex-boyfriend, ex-partner in one way or another, and both male and female could be victims or could be stalkers themselves.
Yeah.
Research shows that 3 times males are more prone to being stalkers, and females are more prone to being victims of stalking. So someone who's gone through rejection could end up being a stalker because they can't believe that they have gone through that loss and they are not going to be part of that particular life.
Yes.
Then someone who's been through some sort of resentment, someone who has had a great loss, all right? And they feel you're the person responsible for it. So the reason they are stalking is so that they can conduct on you. Then we have people who seek intimacy. So someone looks at you, Sarah, and thinks, oh, she's such a beautiful lady. She has a beautiful figure. I have to have her to myself. So the reason they're stalking you is to gain intimacy relationship with you. Then there are stalkers who are incompetent. So they don't fit any category of suitors, and so they decide, for me to move on with life, I have to nail that particular person. And then there are those who are predatory. Okay? So these are people who have paraphilias. You find them stalking children, or men stalking men, or women stalking women, seeking to have sexual intimacy or engagement to give them some sort of satisfaction. And it could be because they have some sort of mental illness.
Well, okay. There is a question that has come to my mind when you talked about these types of stalkers. So someone might say, or rather, most of stalking goes on online. And right now we have different social media platforms where people just post things. Someone might just decide, today I'm attacking Nancy, and maybe showering her with messages that she does not even want to associate with. So online stalking. How are we at when it comes to that?
We need to appreciate the need or what the roles social media or being on online platform provides. One, it unifies the community. All right. Then it also gives us a sort of, we become envious of some lifestyles that we tend to see celebrities or people who we adore living life. And so if they do not acknowledge our comments, say we tell them you dress well, you have a beautiful house, you have a beautiful car,
Yes.
or I like the way you engage in one or two, three things, you may find someone being obsessed because when they were engaging, they were pouring their emotions to this particular person. So, yes. So the thing that we need to be very, very careful when we are engaging online is that it needs to be technical than emotional.
And I feel like this is where a lot of people don't know where to draw the line. Wow. I like what you're saying. But now, what are the effects of this process of stalking? Because someone might be doing this and maybe it's subconsciously. They just want to pass their message. They want to pour their emotions. But they don't know it has an effect on the person, the victim that they're exposing to. So maybe take us through the effects that stalking can have to a person.
Wow. So if you're a victim and you have been stalked, right? There are many effects that you go through. It could be physical, could be psychological, could be social, could also be behavioral. So if we're talking about physical, because victims at the end of the day end up being in denial or thinking that they did not cause this to happen. And we need to understand, in the mind of the stalker, there is a contributing, justifying reason why they stalk you. So for you, the victim, when you realize that you have a stalker, most of them, what they do is that they avoid being in social circles or being in out there in open spaces where they can be seen. So in other words, you reduce your productivity because you have a certain sort of fear. Psychologically, you could start going through depression, anxiety. You could also go through mental torture where you start wondering why you have encouraged such a behavior or why you ended up being the victim. Then emotionally, you have mistrust and you're unable to trust people or develop a relationship with people because you could have become a victim because of opening up to somebody, right? Then what else? I've talked of emotionally, physically, socially. Socially, you're withdrawn. Physically, you don't even want to put yourself out there. And emotionally, you're affected, you're in fear. Psychologically, you don't have the capacity anymore to engage in social activities.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'm just going through this and I'm thinking, yes, carry on.
Yes, and as you digest that, Sarah, there could also be personality changes, For example, if I say I end up being a victim, I'm very outgoing. So in this case, for me to cope, I may decide that I'll become introverted and kept to myself because I don't want to attract another stalker. So in this case, you find this person is not authentic anymore because of the effect of that psychological effect.
And is it right for me as a victim to confront my stalker and tell them you have been doing 1, 2, 3, it's not right? Is it right for me to do the confrontation part?
One, you need to understand, before you confront your stalker, or before you even engage this stalker, once you have identified that you're being stalked, congratulations, you're really doing well.
Oh, yes.
Because a lot of people
don't.
A lot of people don't realize. Yes. People realize when it's too late, That is when you start connecting the dots. So, one, being aware that you're afraid of something, that is the first step. The second step is identifying what type of a stalker you have, right? What is it that is making them drawn or driven to following you or to attacking you or to harassing you? Once you have identified that, then you will know on your own individual capacity what you need to change so that you don't provide the same environment, okay? Then after you move to the third stage, the fourth one, then you need support. You need to seek support. Because a lot of us tend to think, oh my, I'm losing it. I'm going mad. I'm probably saying this person is stalking me and they are not. So you need to seek support, social support from family, from friends. Then you need to report it to authority, because a lot of stalking activities end up being fatal.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
You need to report it to the authority and seek that the proper procedures, law measures are followed. And then avoid contact with this person. Be very, very firm with the person and communicate that you don't want to continue to have any type of engagement. And if they then provoke you or come, past what you have told them, then they will, there will be evidence of harassment.
Because you have already warned them that you do not want to have any association with them.
Exactly.
But what about the stalkers? Because I believe they should also be helped. We've talked about the victims and how they should handle it. What about the stalkers? How can we help these people?
Wow. Now this becomes the bigger issue here.
Yes.
Because I think I mentioned that stalking is a behavior and not a mental disorder. All right?
Yes.
But there are mental disorders that could be at play to this behavior. Because we say someone has psychological distress when their environment, their genetics, and their conscious mind is at play. So we have seen there are stalkers who intentionally purpose and plan, meaning they are using their mind and energy to focus on a victim, right? And so when they are stalking you, their behavior is also altered. It is a bit awkward. So this person, most of the time, will test for 1 or 2 psychological disorders. So the person could be having some personality disorders, and this could be depression or use of substance that tell them, or their mind signals direct them to being victimizing a person. And this could be because they have gone through some sort of rejection, or they are resentful, or they are predatory. All right? So if you have been a person who has made someone a victim, try and identify what personality disorders are you going through. You can go for assessment, you can communicate your journey with a therapist, and they'll be able to help you overcome that challenge. The other thing, if you're the type of stalker who we call the incompetent suitor, this could be because you have an autism spectrum disorder. All right? And in this case, you have some intellectual disability, quote unquote. And this could be the reason why you end up picking victims. All right?
Yeah.
Then we have those they called predatory, those who have paraphilias or disorders of sexual attraction. All right? There could be, because of that disorder, that is where they are motivated to that behavior. All right? So when you have had somebody or a relative or a friend where there has been a report that they have stalked somebody, it's good for them to go through psychological assessment so that they can be assisted. There are those ones who go through psychosis, and these ones are the ones who end up being intimacy seeking, and they have resentful motivations behind them. Yeah.
And I'm thinking all these kind of behaviors that stalkers have, they all can just be helped if they get psychological help, or they even open up to someone who can help them.
Yes, they all can be helped. You can be able to overcome that, because if it is a personality disorder, then your therapist will help you to develop and gain some skills so that you can fit in the society and be productive, rather than being a bit awkward, right?
Yes, I get your point. Well, before we end this conversation, Nancy, I want to ask you, is it right for me as a victim to feel sorry, or rather feel that I have done 1, 2, 3 for this person to stalk me? Is it right for me to feel sorry for myself?
I wouldn't say it is right for you to feel sorry. Okay, for yourself, it's good to acknowledge that you have gone through, we call it trauma, right? Because the stalker was causing you mental terrorism or mental torture.
Yes.
So it is good to acknowledge that you have gone through trauma. You have faced 1, 2, or 3 losses, And so be willing to want to overcome that challenge, right? Be willing to know what are the signals that were being picked by the stalker that probably you are not implying, okay? And then be willing to work on yourself such that you're not affected socially, emotionally, mentally, and physically, and continue being as authentic and living a full life.
Yes.
But being sorry for the stalker, it's not in your place to be. Everybody has to chart their own journey. And so long as you have taken the measures to protect yourself, then they need to find themselves. I always tell everyone, you can't pour from an empty cup. And as much as we encourage social interaction, we don't say go for social interaction if it is not safe for you. Because our behavior, once depicted, can be picked up again. So the stalker needs to find a new way of engaging, and the victim needs to find a new way of associating and separate themselves from the previous victim or the perpetrator.
Wow. Thank you, Nancy. I think we don't have to add or deduct anything from that conversation. It was helpful. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, and have a lovely evening.
Lovely evening, Sarah. Bye.
And more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.